so grateful. It sounds like there's some Unity people.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So,
We'll open this Q&A up to the audience in just a moment, but thank you so much for being here. Just wanted to, can you talk a little bit about the song at the end? How excited were you when you found the masters and putting the song together and all these wonderful people in the audience who were part of this process?
Well, the song really was a genuine sort of discovery, like in the process of making the film. When Daniel Youngie, who's one of the co-directors along with Sam Pollard, was first interviewing Chris Jones, we knew a little bit about that the song had actually existed, and Dan was having some preliminary conversation about the song and the history of it, and Chris says, "Oh, I have those tapes in my closet." So that began this process. Sorry. So that began this process of, how do we make this happen? Can we integrate this into the film? And it took, I can't remember exactly the timeline of when he found the masters to, when we had the idea to sort of bring the song forward, sort of connecting Carl's legacy and message to today's generation, but we feel like that was more than we realized at the time. It was a really important thing to do, and we can still see we still need this message of liberation.
It is so incredible that this film is coming out here at the Tribeca Festival at this time. Can you speak a little bit about just what it means for this message of Carl Bean's life, story, and work to be coming out right now?
Yeah, I don't have to tell anybody in this audience, we're living in this crazy time of erasure, erasing Black people, queer people, women, all of our contributions, to history. They're renaming ships, and it's insane. I don't, there's a list of things I could cite, and we see in Carl's message that we still have to remind people of our contributions. And I think one of the things we wanted to do with the film, because I was surprised how little I knew about Carl and his work and all the different things that he did, from his AIDS activism to the Unity Fellowship Church, as well as the message of I was born this way. And we have to document these things as fast as they take them away and archive them. We have to replace, and we have to replace it more forcefully, and so that's what we want. That's part of what we wanted to do, is bring Carl's story to audiences, because so many people don't know what he has accomplished, and all the things that affect us in our sort of daily lives.
Another amazing thing about this movie is the animated reenactments. Can you talk a little bit about how, your decision to go with that to tell the story, and the process of that all coming together?
Daniel and Sam could speak a little bit better to this, because they were involved in more of the technical aspects of it. But what you typically see in a documentary, where you're trying to tell part of the story that you don't actually have footage for, whether it be home movies or newsreel, we wanted to do something a little different in terms of recreating aspects of Carl's life that were not available, in sort of found footage. So the decision was made to do this, what we think as a very sort of artful, illustrative, lyrical way to recreate moments in Carl's life that we didn't have. And it's what you have to do is that you have to shoot live action footage, and then it's painted by hand, I think every fourth frame, and to give you the look that we have. And it's very, very time consuming, also very expensive. But we feel like, it's a way to sort of just add this other dimension to the film, and to what Carl's life is like.
Do we have any questions from the audience, perhaps?
Yeah. This is very specific. What was the year that you found the masters? And therefore, was all of Carl's interview footage shot for this film? Or had some of it been shot before?
Well, I have to check the date on the exact year we found the mask.
Well, the second part of the question.
Yeah, the second part of the question I can answer. We said Daniel. We did all of those. I mean, Carl, unfortunately, as you know, passed away in September of 2021. Thankfully, he was, and it was just pre-COVID, early days of COVID, 2020, before we understood exactly what COVID was, and we were able to capture the hero interview of Carl, and that was done over the course of several shooting days. So we were really lucky to be able to sort of get that in the can while Carl was still active and present, and as you can see, you know, he's the best narrator for his own story. I mean, you know, when I first saw the sort of assembly reel, which is when I came onto the project, and the film was initially meant to be a short film, about 40 minutes.
No.
And it didn't take us too long to realize that we would never be able to do Carl's story justice in a short film. I mean, yeah, you know, you see how magnetic and charismatic, and you know, he's a wonderful storyteller. So yes, we were able to get, thankfully, his interviews, you know, in the course of a few shoot days.
Thank you.
Any further questions in the audience?
I mean, now that we have this epiphanal revelation of liberation, how will we be distributing that to the world? Because I can make DJs this summer.
Yeah, yeah, you're not the first person to ask that. We're still working on that. You know, it's you know, music rights, licensing. It's a complicated process, and you know, because it was, you know, an original song which was never released, so we're working on it. We'll keep you posted. And yes, there will be a live for the song outside of the film.
Convocations in October.
Yeah, exactly.
How were you able to get Billy Porter involved in that?
One of the things we felt was important to do was to show not only what Carl did on a kind of community level with all of his work, we wanted to show how his artistry inspired other artists, whether it be Questlove, Billy Porter, Lady Gaga, and we felt that Billy, being a very outspoken Black gay Christian who still, you know, has embraced his faith, it was important to get him involved. And once we got some of the original footage to his team, he couldn't have been more supportive.
Question back there?
Was there any part of his story that you weren't able to tell or weren't able to tell the way you wanted to?
I don't think so. I mean, I think because Carl, you know, he is, I mean, you see he's very open, and never, as you know, never apologized for any aspect of his life. And no, I think, you know, I mean, again, Dan and Sam can probably speak better to this, but no, I think we feel like, you know, we let him tell his story.
Well done.
In the back as well. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Sorry, I missed the last thing you said. What? Oh no, that was so good. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if this goes without saying, but I'll leave wondering if I don't ask. The 4 years that he was in the chair, was he also surrounded by, you know, friends and family, like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, he was, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
boy, I mean,
Right,
the Unity folks can.
Right,
yeah,
I mean,
they-
just, you know, what he watched when they would say at church, you know, he's, you know, watching, and I
mean-
hope it goes without saying, but I just didn't want to, I would leave wondering.
No, that's a fair question, and I think Carl said that, you know, people love me, meaning him.
Right, and I
So-
was glad to
so
hear
he
him
was- yes,
say
he-
that,
he-
so I just,
He had a supportive family and also his Unity family, so yes, he was a beloved figure, and it's also been so amazing. We had a screening in DC last night, and there was a whole different branch of this Unity folks that
Okay.
came out. So we're you know, we had our premiere here, and the audience was supposed. So you get to sort of see, you know, like wow, you know, he's
Right.
still very
because
much
you know,
with
you
us.
can
and-
feel that, because I identify with when you stop and you don't want to, because then, you know, you don't want to feel what the havoc that it's, and then when you do, you can't move, and so.
Yeah. So short answer is
So,
yes.
okay,
It's-
so
yeah.
powerful,
Yeah.
like, so well done, thank
I
you.
think we might have time for a couple, one or two more questions.
I have a question. Tomorrow being Father's Day, did he ever reconcile with his father after being pushed out?
That's a
Good
really
question.
good question.
In his book, in his autobiography.
Thank you.
He talks about going back and talking to his father after that scene.
Thank you for-
The book is called Born This Way also. I don't know if it's available.
Yeah.
It is.
Simon and Schuster.
Simon and
Yeah.
Schuster, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the book is available, and he does talk about reconciling with his father.
Well, I didn't know so much reconciling, but just the idea
Yeah.
that, and having seen that happen to so many people, that horrible thing when your family turns
Yeah.
their back on you.
Yep.
His book is very interesting. I don't read a lot. At 65 years old, but I read it twice. I loved it so much. The story was so touching. And it's because I knew the man also.
Thank you for answering that.
Nice. Maybe last question here.
Archbishop always centered spirit and spoke often throughout the film about how spirit led, all of the moves. Were there moments while you were compiling all of the footage, putting everything together, where there was a visible feel of spirit moving amongst the individuals putting the film together?
Yeah, I can. Yes, I mean, I can only speak to my, experience in terms of being involved in the process of shooting and editing, and I grew up in the church, as a kid, and at a certain point, I felt that I had to choose, between, being queer, like it didn't make sense, faith, and I grew up in the South. I was born in the '60s. It was a very different time. I came of age, during AIDS, and one thing I have sort of felt since working on this project is that I wish I had known about Carl when I was a teenager, because maybe I would have had less sort of conflict about my faith and my identity. So yes, I never really got to know him personally, but I do feel like I can feel him, and I've gotten to know his great niece, Corey Robinson. So yeah, I can, that's my personal.
Thank you for sharing.
I think that's a lovely place to end it right here, but I'm sure everybody is so grateful for your time and for sharing this all with us.